My name is Eli Kantor. I'm Jonathan Kantor's father. I don't know, he's from Milken, he's in the 12th grade. I don't know how many of you know him, but we will get to know him on the trip. Today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about his grandfather, my father, Bernard Dove Kantor. My father was the only person from his entire family who survived the Holocaust. And it was quite a burden that he placed upon me, consciously and subconsciously. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what it was like for him and for me growing up as the only child of the only survivor from the Kantor family. One story is particularly poignant, and I'd like to share it with you. In 1944, my father was in Sachsenhausen, and in the middle of that nightmare, it was Yom Kippur, and they were very excited because my father had a chazan in his workshop, and they decided that they were going to have high holiday services secretly on one condition, that my father would stand as lookout. So my father was really happy that in the midst of this madness, they could have real davening with a real chazan, and it was just wonderful. And they got to the part of the service where they say, Kivanu v'harta mikol ha'amim, which means, for you have chosen us and sanctified us above all the nations. And so the chazan is chanting, Kivanu v'harta V'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim. And just as he hits ha'amim, my father looks out the window and he sees the SS dragging some prisoners who they had captured in the forest to be executed. And for the first time in his life, he started questioning, well, are we really the chosen people? And if we are, what are we chosen for? Are we chosen to be a sacrifice for the world's sins, for our sins? Did the Nazis decide they wanted to kill the messenger because they didn't like the message? We brought the Ten Commandments to the world that said that thou shalt not kill. So they decided to kill the messenger. I think this brief story summarized the Holocaust, my father's whole life, and his doubts and his faith, which is quite remarkable that after living through all that, you could still have faith, but he did. When I was a child, I worshipped my father, and when I became your age, I thought he was nuts. I thought he was sugar. He was completely lost his marbles, and he's just a nutcase. But now, 24 years after his death, as an adult, I look back and I see that really things that I thought were bizarre had a reason. And now I finally have come to understand it. When I was maybe 6 years old, one of my earliest childhood memories is it's evening, and my mom's making dinner, and she's frying on the stove, and my father walks in, and suddenly he flies into a violent rage, curses the smell of my mom's cooking, and slams the door and walks out. It didn't make any sense. What did my mom do? She's just cooking dinner. Come back an hour later and calm down and eat. And as I recall, one of their most virulent arguments always had to do with my mom's cooking. I mean, she wasn't the greatest cook, but it was decent food. So when we finally bought a house, the one feature that really sold my father on the house was they had a built-in fan above the stove. He said, I'll take the house. That was the thing. And it wasn't until long after his death I saw the movie Schindler's List. Have any of you seen it?
Yes.
Well, there's a scene, it's in Krakow, and my father was in Krakow in the ghetto for a part of the war. And it looks like it's snowing, but it's not. It's ashes. There's this continuous rain of white ash. And what it was that my mom's frying fat reminded him of the smell of the burning flesh from the crematorium. And this is something that just, smell is connected to memory. And whenever he smelled that, he would just lose it. And then I looked back, I said, maybe he really wasn't nuts. This was just, it was a trigger. Another thing, another short story I'd like to share with you was about my father loved hot coffee. It had to be boiling hot. It couldn't just be hot, boiling hot. So we had a store in Hollywood, and he sent me across the street. He said, go across to Thrifty's, take this thermos, and get boiling hot water. So, okay. I walked across the street. I said, I'd like to have one thermos full of boiling hot water. He said, well, I'm sorry. We don't sell hot water here. You want coffee, but we don't sell hot water. So I came back, said, Abba, I used to call him Abba. I said, Abba, I'm sorry, I can't get it for you. He went into a rage. He said, there are two words that don't exist in my vocabulary. I can't. If the front door is closed, go in the back door. If the back door is closed, go in through the skylight. If the skylight is closed, go in through the window. But get it done. So, walked back across the street, said, I tell you what, how much would you charge for a thermos full of coffee? I said, I don't know, we don't sell it. Talked to the manager, said, okay, 50 cents. I said, okay, I'll buy that, hold the coffee, just give me boiling hot water. And what I learned from that was my father's philosophy. This is how he survived. He never said, I can't. I'd like to share one other brief story with you. Do I have time?
Yeah, one more story.
One more story. Okay. This is about my son Jonathan. When he was around 7 years old,
You're not embarrassed, are you, Jonathan?
my father was dead, but my mom was still alive at the time. And we were visiting her. And I was talking to my mom, and my father and my son Jonathan was exploring, as 7-year-old boys like to do. My mom never threw out anything of my father's, even though he was dead. So he's going through these drawers, and he pulls out my father's talus. Whoa, I haven't seen that. And you can still smell his aftershave in it. And he starts searching around some more, and he comes up with this bag here, which is a tefillin sack. I was very shocked because I had never seen it. They weren't mine, and they weren't my father's. So it was a big mystery to me. So I looked at it, and it says, there's a Jewish star, and it says 5644. So if you do the math, that comes out to 1883. Now my father was born in 1902. So it wasn't his. It wasn't mine. Whose were they? So I turn it over, and you see here, there's some nice embroidery, and it appears to be two initials, E.W. E.W. Who is E.W.? Doesn't make any sense. You turn it this way, and the W becomes an M. It's E.M. E.M. That's familiar. That's my initials. It's Eliyahu Meir. These were my grandfather's tefillin. He would have been 13 at the time for his bar mitzvah. It made perfect sense. So it was amazing to me. I don't know why my father never showed them to me, how he got them. But since it was Shabbos, I couldn't put them on. But the very next day was Sunday. So what I did, you all know what tefillin are? Okay. So on Sunday, I went home and I put them on. This is from the head. They're different from any other kind of tefillin that you'd see. They're very small. You could tell they're a child's. And I put them on, and I said the prayers. You see, the leather is really worn. They're brown. More normally, they're black. And put them on, and I had never seen my grandfather, seen a picture of him, nothing. But when I put on his tefillin, I felt a strange connection. I felt his energy. I felt his pain. I felt His holiness, and I felt that I had come home to my roots.